Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun town, her hair was blonde and this was round. Soon may the wellerman come around.
From all the rain and rough water sailing, Brigit was soaked up to the floorboards. I can tolerate a little bit of bilge water, but this is the point where I decide to go ahead and pump it out. The rain was expected to pass and the sun to come out around noon. Originally, I had planned to make a few stops on the LBL side of the lake today, but considering the development of the unpredictable weather, I figured it might be best to go ahead and make the crossing back to the western side of the lake while conditions seem to be reasonably calm. It may be due to my lack of experience, but I sometimes find it difficult to discern the difference between wind in the lee of some point or land feature versus what the wind is doing out on the open water. But as I sailed down the Tennessee River channel towards the north, everything seemed quite calm, and of course I was sailing on a run. Based on the chart I was using, there appears to be a very shallow area just outside of the channel between Smith Bay and the rock quarry just to the north. Brigit is extremely shallow drafting at 6 inches with the foils up, but with the lake level so low, I don't want to take any chances. So I sailed directly down the channel, downwind to the north, about a mile or two in order to come fully clear of that obstacle. At this point, once safely clear of the hazard, I'm ready to start rounding up and begin reaching for Cambridge and Goose Island. But the farther I get out to open water, the greater the strength of the wind and waves, and pretty quickly I realized this is even rougher than what I thought was rough yesterday. I would estimate the average height of the waves to be at least 2 feet and very close together, and definitely seeing some waves over 3 foot. So I decided pretty quickly need to shorten sail, and I have no reef points, so the best option is douse the jib. I have to say, this is probably the roughest conditions I've been out in any sailboat, which experienced sailors again may scoff, but that was a little bit of an eye-opening experience to me. It doesn't look nearly as dramatic as it felt. I knew that turning downwind and running with the waves would probably be a safe option here and would really smooth things out, but I felt that it was also important to get closer to safety and get across the width of the lake pretty rapidly. So I tried sailing a close reach, essentially, just on the edge of a beam reach and a close reach, and I got the sail trimmed to where I didn't feel overpowered, but where I also wasn't slowing down too much. I knew that speed was important, and I just concentrated on steering for the waves. I felt pretty safe that way. So I got, a little over halfway across the lake, and at that point I was ready to start gradually turning downwind towards Goose Island and taking a more direct course. This is really not my kind of sailing. I'm sure this looks very tame to many experienced sailors, but for me, this felt like some pretty rough conditions. And Brigit just feels like such a tiny boat out there on the biggest part of the lake, contending with what feels to us like a very heavy swell. You can just really feel the power of the water in the tiller. This may not have been the right thing to do, but at the time it just felt comfortable and safe. As I was turning downwind, I didn't allow the main sheet to run out. I kept it trimmed in a little bit too tight. The boat just seemed to feel a little bit more stable that way, and it also slowed her down a bit, but not too much. I felt that I had plenty of speed to maneuver and to stay above the waves. I've never been so happy to see this goofy little lighthouse over on Cambridge that I've always made fun of, but it was a comforting sight. Nearing Goose Island, I can finally breathe a huge sigh of relief. That about does it for the excitement of this adventure. I decide to beach the boat on Goose Island, and I go up on the top of the hill just to look out at the lake and watch the whitecaps. Brigit was built 60 years ago. She's only 16 foot long, and she's a plastic boat, yet she was still able to carry me safely across what I would consider a fairly large body of water in pretty rough conditions. I'm really proud of her. Through my Steiner 8x30s, I spot a sailing vessel running down the Tennessee River channel where I had just been sailing a mere 45 minutes ago. All I can say about the boat for sure is that it was a sloop-rigged monohull in bright yellow. I watched them for a while through the binoculars, and they were flying full sail and moving along very quickly. I scanned away to the south briefly to observe a river cruising ship, and when I looked back at the sailing vessel as they were passing the rock quarry, I noticed that they were only flying the main. Smart decision, I think. I was only out for a night, but considering the lively sailing conditions and sometimes stressful weather, I felt that I had been out for a week, and I had greatly increased my experience as a sailor and as an outdoorsman. I now have more respect than ever for the big lake, the land between the lakes, and her southerly weather patterns.
Ooh, I got this thing out of the water. What is it?